So, good morning, everyone. It is so nice to be back after a rather interesting health issue that I had last time. So, it's nice to be back and healthy again. So, and back after a holiday. So, this is being your own CEO, and I just need to um, let everyone know that we are using the comment tracker this morning. So hopefully, if there are comments that people want to share, they will put things there. And I see that not everyone who said they were coming have come in as yet. So we may have one or two people sort of come in as we go on. So, as usual, I really like to give everyone the opportunity to say good morning and say something about the work that they do. And so I'm going to begin on my right this morning, and that would be you, Paul. So take it away.
Good morning, all. My name is Paul, and I spell that with two L's. As my famous Scottish English teacher said, "I laddie, that makes an L of a difference." And I am a seniorpreneur, and that's about all I've got to say. Thank you for joining.
That.
Back to you, Lola.
Oh, right. I'm trying to send Heather's asked me to let her know when we're live, so I was trying to give her a message. So I'll just post that. So thank you and welcome, a seniorpreneur. You've done it again, Paul. No. It's a solopreneur. So how about you, Pat? How would you like to introduce yourself this morning?
Okay. Hi, everybody. Paul, I really like that. Can I borrow that seniorpreneur thing?
No. You're muted, Paul.
Yeah, I know that. Yes, you can. It's yours. I heard it this week and liked it, so I thought I would pass it on.
Thank you, because that's my audience now. Our seniors. Those are the people that I speak to, and I think some of them might be delighted with that. Right now I'm house sitting on Salt Spring on just a fabulous 23 acres and beautiful home and two lazy cats, and so I'm having a great time. So I'm really interested in, because I've had my domain name since March and I haven't done anything with it. So I'm really interested in what we're going to talk about today.
Ah, right on. So I'm envious that you're on Salt Spring. I might share with you that I spent some time a few weeks ago on Denman and Hornby. So these Gulf Islands are just absolutely wonderful for anybody who's watching outside. We know we live in paradise, don't we?
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Thank you and welcome, Pat. And Nathan, how about you?
Give me a second here. Well, depending on your point of view, some people would call this paradise, but anyway. How would I describe myself? Recovering technical writer. How's that?
A recovering one.
Very much so. From all the years of intense writing. No, actually, what I've been doing is I've been the last couple of weeks I've been working on building a consulting business, and I've been spending a lot of time. I've modeled a woman who has built a business, and basically following her techniques for building community on Facebook. And so that's where I've been spending a lot of time. It's been rather interesting, but rather also very time consuming.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I watched something just yesterday in a program that I'm going to tell you all about a little bit later. But all the people that were in that hangout said that, especially when you're just starting out on a new platform, you're looking at a minimum of 4 hours a day until you get established. So it's not surprising that you're saying that you're really busy. So, so welcome, and let's go on to Jay.
Oh, hi there. My name is Jay, and I'm the CEO of Magi Studios Incorporated, and for the past 10 years, we've helped businesses get online by building them websites and getting them ranked on the internet.
Mm. So you're just going to be the right person to have in our conversation this morning. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, I gotta go.
Me too.
So welcome. And last but not least, Anna, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Glad to have you, Jay. You're like our little Steve Dotto in that world. Yes, I am in a corporate transition at the moment, so I'll be rebranding myself as Medevac Anna, and hence I've bought that domain and want to develop that. I have some experience, however, little in doing websites. I did one a couple of years ago, but things have changed so rapidly and things are a lot now. So I'm really excited about today's meeting.
Mm-hmm. Right on. So thank you, Anna. Nice to have you here. And just in case anybody doesn't know out there who I am, I'm Lolan Fulsang, and my business is called Workstyle Lifestyle Consulting. And I just love helping solopreneurs, including seniorpreneurs, to find direction, stay motivated, and build systems that both support and promote their business. And I host this Being Your Own CEO hangout every Tuesday morning. And somebody's rustling something. It sounds like paper, and maybe it would be a good idea to mute yourself. And so I just want to say a little something, something brief this morning about something that I'm doing. And you may, as you, if you're scouting around Google Plus, you'll see some pretty funny things happening. I have joined a group called Plus Your Business. It's a membership group, and we've been playing around with some campaigns and doing sort of an experiment called We Dig Monday. And so we all put something up for We Dig Monday. We even took down our pictures and put something else up. So if you were online yesterday, you saw some pretty funny things. And the whole idea was for us all to get acquainted with collections and to think about how to make use of collections for our businesses. And this was one experiment that we were working with. So if you happen to be scouting around in the community here, you'll see that I decided that my contribution would be We Dig Mindset Mondays. So I'll be posting a little something every Monday that hopefully people will find inspirational for Monday to get them rolling. And it's kind of a, I guess just to see whether Monday especially could work, because usually people will say don't ever try to start anything or do anything on Monday. And so the group decided, well, let's see if that's really true. Maybe we could take advantage of it. So that was what I was trying to do. So what is Monday really about for solo entrepreneurs? And for me, it's the beginning. It's always Monday is always a new beginning. And so how could we take advantage of that as solopreneurs? So that was what that's all about. I don't know whether anybody in the group here happened to notice. You'll see
Yeah, I did.
yeah, you see
Yeah.
the We Dig
Yep.
logo and that everybody's playing with. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I think for me, Monday is just the middle of the week of my 7-day week, right? So being a solopreneur, so that's a weekend, right?
that is another way to look at it, Jay. That is for sure. Although I must say I try to I try to keep my weekends for something else, although I quite often use it for catching up. So yeah. But anyway, it's an interesting experiment, and we're all playing with it and putting up new visuals and so forth. So I'll keep you posted. You'll see comments and things within the community that will keep you posted. So I think
Well,
that's really all I want to say. Sorry, Paul, did you?
yeah, I had a comment. There is a saying that a fellow by the name of Mark Hunter once said, and I quite like, and it says, "Today is always the most productive day of your week."
Good one.
Well, it needs to be, I guess. And that was why I decided to call it Mindset Monday, because yeah, on Monday, for me anyway, I mean that's the day that I really figure out what my mindset is for the week and where I'm going. So yeah. So that's all about our introductions. Thank you, everyone. And so this morning, I would like to have a conversation about new websites, where to begin, and what do you do, and how does that all work? So, Pat, you were saying that you had a URL since March, and you really haven't done anything with it.
Correct.
And that was interesting because as I was just kind of organizing my own thoughts about this, and by the way, I have done my own website with the guidance of Ryan LaBelle, who has been my website coach for years. Quite a number of years, like 10 or 12 years.
Quick question, Lolan. When you talk about websites, are you talking about a blogging platform like WordPress or Joomla, or what are you speaking of?
A website, if you're working with WordPress for sure, it's one and the same thing. It's just it depends on how you. If you're in WordPress, you have pages, and that's your website, and your posts, that's your blog site. That simple.
Yeah, so I think it's website is in essence an online presence of your business or however you're branding yourself, and then WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, whatever platform you're using to broadcast this message, that's the next step, So I think a website is in general, it could be a Joomla site, it could be a WordPress site, a static website, whatever. So yeah.
So I just kind of took some notes, and I tend to think in a sort of a step-by-step linear way. So I was saying, well, the first thing that one needs to do is purchase a URL. Think about what you want it to be called and to purchase it. And then, of course, the next thing you need is a hosting company, and quite often it's one and the same. A lot of hosting companies allow you to do your purchase of your URL, but for myself, the one that I'm using also has as a freebie just the whole WordPress site. So it's just part of the whole hosting company package. So then, once you've done that, even before you go any further, to my mind, and Jay, I think you might like to step in here, it's really important before you take any more steps to decide what is the purpose of your site. What is it you're going to use it for? Because then, and that kind of answers Nathan's question, is this a static site that kind of works like a brochure? Or is it going to be a blog site? Or is it going to be both?
Actually, I was asking about the platform rather, the program that you use, like whether you decide to use Joomla or Drupal or WordPress. That's what I was asking.
Well, I guess...
I think that's based on what Laolan was saying, is what is the end result? And that's actually one of the things that I was going to talk about is, you know, what is the end result? What do you want people to do on your website? Do you want them to call you, click you, or come by? You know, so if you figure out what it is that you want people to do on your website, you know, as opposed to just having an online presence is all fine and dandy, but there has to be an end result to each individual page. You know, whether it be you want to redirect them to your contact page, whether you want to have a quick little form at the bottom, there needs to be this call to action at the end. And I think if you can determine what the end result of your site is, then you can then go to the next step and determine what platform you want to use. You know, I mean, I know everyone thinks that WordPress is the answer for building a website because everyone needs to blog, but in all honesty, my opinion is that you don't need to blog. You don't need to blog if you don't have a passion to do it, and you don't have enough resources and information to do it, and a consistent schedule to do it. You know, then you can always then choose other options, such as Joomla, as you'd mentioned, Nathan. And like, for example, when I build sites for clients, we primarily use Joomla because for our local client base, we don't recommend that they blog because they don't need to. Like, you know, some of our client base includes Merry Maids, ServiceMaster, Bluebird Cabs, Budget Auto Sales, Budget Rent a Car, you know, and they don't blog, right? I mean, occasionally they do, but you know,
I mean, you could set up WordPress as just design with pages as opposed to having a blogging function.
Absolutely, but the thing is with WordPress, you have to have there's a back-end login feature where people have to kind of navigate to the back end. With Joomla, there's just you can create it so that there's only front end logging in, navigate to the page, edit, save, done. You know, you want to make it as rudimentary as possible for your clients, and you know, and that's another thing is that you want to create a system where you, the user, is going to feel comfortable. Now, if you're comfortable with using WordPress and you've used it before, by all means, use WordPress. You know, so
yeah. I had actually written a series on both WordPress and Joomla, and I have to admit I found Joomla quite complicated, and WordPress was far easier for at least what I wanted to do. But I found that Joomla, if you're really technically oriented and you want minute control, I found Joomla was good for that. But for me, it was just too complicated. And this is coming from a guy who spends a lot of time doing tech writing, but I'm at a point where I'm into simple as much as I possibly can. And for me, WordPress was easier than the Joomla interface. Just my opinion.
Can I expand on something that Nathan just said, and Jay, to get back to where before we started to get fairly technical here? I'm pretty old school, and when I'm talking to people about websites, I use a simple thing. When you used to at school sit down to write something, it was always who, what, where, why, when, and how. So write those words down and then address that on your website. Who do you want there? When do you want them? How are they going to get there? Like, why are we doing this? And Jay, you started that in the beginning. You've got to just start with that to figure out how to do it. And I'm going to throw something out that in the beginning that I want you all to think of too. And that is, what is your time worth? Because to me, I want to spend my time on figuring out who my audience is and what I want them to do and how I'm going to get them to do it. As far as building the site, I'll pay somebody to do all of this technical stuff that has that expertise because it's simply more cost effective. It just makes so much more sense to me.
Agreed.
So that's my sort of 2 cents on that.
I agree with you, Paul. And when my budget goes up, I'm going to be doing the same thing as you because Despite the technical background, that's not where my time is best spent.
Yeah.
Well, I have to chime in here because I've always done my own website, but I have to admit that I would never be able to do what I'm doing if I didn't have Ryan's support.
Mhm.
So I mean it's been an advantage to me because to do it this way because of what I've learned from him, what he's been willing to share. But there have been numerous times when I've just got in way in over my head, and if I didn't have him to bail me out, I would have been done. So, so I would never recommend doing your own website unless you have at least someone in the background who can provide some support. But another piece that I notice with a lot of my clients who get sort of, they want to be able to make changes on their website because the common complaint is, well, now that the site is done, I can't get the web designer's attention. And I need a change done, and I can't get that change done. And so the advantage to doing something like WordPress is that you can and it's at the back end on a sort of a regular basis. It's pretty simple to use, and so it's very easy to go in and make those changes, those costly changes. Because if you just need to change two or three words or this or that, that's a web designer is charging, well, probably $60 to $100 an hour to
Mhm.
do something really, really simple. So if you're a solopreneur, you really want something that allows you yourself to learn at least enough to go in there and make those minimal changes.
Mhm.
Would you agree on that, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's a premise as to why the industry has changed, where people are starting to build their own sites as opposed to hiring people to build it for them. Excuse me. And because I've heard that so many darn times in terms of like, oh, well, I've tried to email my web guy or my web gal, and they haven't responded back to me. And that's not fair to you as the business owner, is that you should be empowered to be able to have the option to do it yourself. You don't want to be restricted to relying on someone else to update your business. So I mean, we have enough restrictions in terms of our businesses in itself. So especially if you have like a promotion or coupon or that kind of stuff that you have to rely on quick changes and
Yeah.
so whatever platform you end up using, WordPress or whatever, you want to feel empowered. Now, another thing that I should throw a caution out to people is having a WordPress website or Joomla site or whatever kind of platform you end up using. The next step is to actually visualize the site, so like the design of the site. So many times you can buy templates or themes, which are just carbon copies of these things, right? Of these visual elements, and you can just kind of paste them on top, and then they're pretty much good to go. Now, if you're at a point where you want to customize either an existing theme or template purchase, that's all good. Or you can have one custom designed for you, which is all good and dandy. But then you're now putting yourself into that potential situation where if you want to change something, you might be at the mercy of the customization of the design. So you want to be very careful in when you're searching for someone to custom design a theme or a template for you. You want to ask if there are any restrictions on any of the pages for the design. So, and in many cases, it's the home page. So, with WordPress, you have an option of either having a static home page, hello, my name is, welcome to, or you can have what's called a blog roll, where it's like it shows the latest blog post, the latest 3 blog posts that you've done. So, and in many cases, the homepage is a pretty fancy pants design, whether it be just a custom template or whatever. So you just have to be really careful with that, because you don't want to feel restricted in terms of, hey, I just want to update my homepage, and then you have to rely on that person who designed it, who will probably never get back to you anytime soon, right? So unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that well, I've always used ThemeForest.
Yep.
And again,
great site. Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and again, I've relied on Ryan to even help me sort of determine which one I wanted, and so it's very helpful to have someone like Ryan or Jay or whoever to help you work through what becoming really clear what you want the website to do for you, what you want people to be doing, and then you want, I mean, there's a few other things that we probably should throw in here. I mean, it's got to be responsive. I hope everybody understands what that means. Responsive means that the site will adjust its size and look for mobile devices. So that's really important. Most of the themes now are responsive, but not all. And so once you've got an idea in your mind as to what you think your website should do and what it should look like, then you just go to a site like ThemeForest and you look around, and they're all categorized. Some of them are specialized for certain kinds of businesses, and some of them are general, etc., etc. And so the process that Ryan and I used, we went through this whole thing about what I wanted people to do and what I wanted, etc. But then I went in and started looking at what I liked, and I made a list. I think we did a spreadsheet. So to make sure that each one that I looked at had all the factors that I wanted. And so that way we were able to sort of narrow it down to what I wanted to use. So it's very helpful to have a web designer who is a bit consultative. Not all web designers have any patience to do this, I've learned.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially for us older folk.
Well, but I mean, there's an element of coaching in there, and I mean, just getting clear about exactly what it is that you want. As I say, not all web designers have the patience to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I just quickly put up here is a little mind map, and it's just a really simple process broken down into building a website. So the first step you have is your domain name, right? So you can buy a domain name at GoDaddy, Namecheap, wherever you feel comfortable. And to be honest, like it really doesn't matter where you buy. I mean, I personally buy all my domains at GoDaddy just because I've been a client of them, for years. So, and I'm very happy with their service. So, and then the fee for a domain name is an annual fee.
Mm-hmm.
So, which ranges from, depending on the type of domain name you get, could be like $8 to $15 a year. Okay. So we can just put that 8 to 15 a year. All right. So the next step is to get website hosting. Now, website hosting can be ranging from again, you can get, get rid of that one. You can get hosting for, $10 a month to $100 a month, and you can buy hosting literally anywhere, ranging from HostGator to a small orange to Bluehost, again, you don't have to, when you're just starting out, you don't really need to worry too much about basic hosting. You know, I personally use HostGator. I have my own server through them. I have what's called a reseller server, so I actually host my own clients' websites through a hosting portal where they pay their bill online and all this kind of stuff. The reason why I recommend my own clients to host it on my server, so that way I have control to make changes when it comes to the search engine marketing element of their site. So, but when you're starting out and you're doing it yourself, you know, you can choose any kind of hosting company. So,
Jay,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a little confusing for me sometimes when I see, like I've got my domains through HostGator, but they also do, or they do domains. You can buy your domains, but you also can get hosting. And I know GoDaddy, you can buy domains, but they also do hosting. So it's very confusing. Like, why would you use one for domains and then the next different one for hosting? Why don't you just have it all together, or is there a good reason for that?
Right. So, I mean, GoDaddy originally started out hosting domains, and that's it. HostGator just started out hosting websites, and then they saw the value of adding that additional service for that exact question. You know, it's like, well, why should clients have to rely on buying a domain elsewhere, pointing the domain to our hosting and all that kind of stuff? Because that's a huge technical step, right? Is having your domain hosted at GoDaddy, and then it's hosted at HostGator. You can do both if you want. It's all about. It boils down to the environment that you have to be in to make changes and whatnot. You know, so now with a domain name, you don't really need to access it that often. Literally just maybe once or twice a year to update billing, update credit cards, or whatever, you know. So
yeah, like one of the reasons for this thing, in terms of who you would wind up working with, like for a long time, GoDaddy had a proprietary back-end system for working with domains and the hosting. Mm-hmm. And for some people, that was really cumbersome. I used it for a long time, but I discovered later services like HostGator use a system called cPanel, which is much better, much easier to use. Mm-hmm. And I wound up switching from GoDaddy to HostGator, and then later GoDaddy started to implement the cPanel functionality, but I had already switched over to HostGator, and I wasn't going to go back.
I think somebody needs to explain what is a cPanel.
Do you want to
go for it, Jay?
Yeah, sure, I'll field it. So cPanel is it's a website that goes over top of your hosting that allows you to control your email addresses. You know, it's basically literally it's a control panel. It's a dashboard to be able to control things on your hosting.
Yeah. Yep. So a couple of other things that I found out because I've used. Probably I'm on my third hosting company right now. I'm using Site 5, and mm-hmm. I was able to buy my domains there, and I'm hosting actually hosting more than one site there as well. And the reason I went to them was because the one I had previously, which escapes me now. But it was the load time was so slow mm-hmm. that I mean, if people can't load, if your website doesn't load quickly, they'll leave.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely true.
Yeah, and so I went to Site 5 because one of their servers is in Vancouver.
Yep.
And it seems that the closer the server, the better the speed, from what I understand. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing that you know, we need to pay attention to. The other thing, and it relates to this cPanel, is the support. Like when you go into their site, some of those panels are so not user friendly that it's very difficult to figure out what you're doing. And
Absolutely true.
so when they have I mean their cPanel or their dashboard, it needs to be laid out in a very simple, straightforward way, so that you don't need a a Bible to figure out how to use the darn thing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And
So yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. And there's no rhyme or reason why you can have hosting and domain purchasing at GoDaddy, and there's no reason why you can do both at at HostGator, Bluehost, Site5, wherever. So and that's totally fine.
the other thing I would say, and I've heard numerous complaints about GoDaddy,
Yep.
is that their support is abysmal.
I don't understand that because I've had
And
great support from GoDaddy
well,
and I've used
yeah,
them for
me too.
years.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the
So-
that's the other piece. If you're looking around and trying to figure out, what you want and your own level of expertise, etc.,
Mhm.
is you got to be watching to see what kind of support they have.
Yeah, and I think it boils down to, like, I personally have never had any issues with support with GoDaddy, and I think it really does boil down to how you're asking your question, versus like, oh, my site is slow, maybe tell them what your domain name is, and, the more specific you are, the faster results you're going to get. So,
Mhm.
but, yeah.
I mean,
so.
I agree with Jay. I mean, I've gone to GoDaddy for many issues over the years. I've never had a problem with them ever. So when I hear complaints about people saying their service is terrible, I'm going, what in the world are you doing that you're getting such terrible results? Because I don't have that experience. And he just said he doesn't have it either. So either we're doing something that makes the experience better for us, or these people, who knows, but something's not right.
Well,
They're
and
subject to.
and you got to be specific.
Yep.
I mean, if you're looking for support, and that's the other thing. Is there a verbal support? Are you the kind of person that really needs to talk to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
or are you able to do it through a text conversation, or are you able to do it by putting in a ticket? So,
Yeah.
I mean, these are all different ways that you get support, and you got to know about your own needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, and a word on hosting is hosting companies always have like flash sales and deals and whatnot. So just kind of when you're in the market, keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. Like for example, HostGator tomorrow, I don't remember what time, they have a small window where their hosting is 60% off.
Wow.
Yep. They do that every now and then. They also do it for Black Friday, November.
Yeah.
That's how I got a fabulous deal from them through that.
Yeah. So with HostGator and other companies, you can pay like a year or 2 year or 3 years in advance. So with the 60% off, you can But at any rate, I mean, it boils down to your personal taste and what you hear from other people and stuff. So, like what you're seeing now is a real basic premise as to how what I use. So I use GoDaddy to buy my domains. I use HostGator for my hosting. I use Joomla for building sites. And in some cases, I use Themes Forest, what Laulan was mentioning, to purchase themes and then customize it from there.
Yeah, and on my end, just to...
Can I have a question? Can I ask a question?
Yes, Pat, go ahead.
Jay, that's where I'm hung up right now is being customizing a basic theme. So can I hire you to help me out with that?
You certainly can. I'll be honest though that there are probably people whom I can recommend that would be a little bit cheaper. So I don't want to say cheaper, more affordable. My client base is primarily corporate and franchise based company.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, but I do have some recommendations. I have some people that I can send business to
What
who.
about Craig?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's
Because
who I was going to
I mean,
recommend. So.
yeah, because
That's
we
right.
all know
Totally forgot.
him, and Craig, that's something that Craig does.
Yep.
And
Totally
so
forgot about that. Yeah.
here we are. I mean, just because he isn't here, but this is our little support group, and my
Yeah.
goodness,
Let's just see if
we
he's
need
in.
to support each
Sure.
other in the best way we can.
Yeah.
Sure. Like, I just want to state really quickly what I've been doing as far as building sites, and partly the reason I do it the way that I've been doing it is because of being a tech writer. I get all these free software programs that I'm able to evaluate. So I'm similar to Jay, a little bit different. I buy my domains from GoDaddy. I host with HostGator. I use WordPress for my content management system. And the theme that I use is Optimized Press, which is designed for somebody who's doing a lot of sales letters and internet marketing.
Landing pages and stuff.
Landing pages, yes, absolutely. It does give you a blogging feature that you can use. It's not super fancy, in my opinion. It's not that great. But in terms of the pages, it gives you a whole ton of different templates that you can use, and you can customize them and do all sorts of really cool stuff. And they've actually went through an upgrade recently with their interface, which has made it even easier to design pages and get your site up and running. And you can also, one of the really cool things with Optimized Press is not only can you integrate payment functions, you can also build what's called a membership site. And it has a plugin that will allow you to set it up so you can, the membership being monthly payments, and you can set up your entire site and the entire interface through that program. So it's technical, no question about it. It's time consuming to learn, but if you want that kind of thing in your life, you can do it. Another option is if you want the payment processing part, you could get a plugin called Wishlist Member, which from what I've seen is easier to use than the Optimized Press one, but you pay extra for it. The Optimized Press one is included with the software, with the membership.
Well, but Nathan, until a person has decided exactly what they want their site to do,
Sure.
they're not going to be able to sort of even think about those things. So, and one of the things that I found very useful, and I would certainly be willing to help anybody get to that point, is to sit down and do a mind map. Once you decide what you want the site to do, what's your purpose, and what do you want the client to do, then the next thing is to map out, and I just used a mind map, so that you can figure out what you want to be happening on each page and what kinds of information.
Actually,
And then once you've got all of that kind of information, those things decided, then that's when you start looking to see what kind of themes and plugins and all of that. So, I mean, it really is premature to start throwing all these programs and plugins and all of that at people until they really know what they want, what they want it to do.
The way to really figure out the workflow is, like, I've used mind maps for years. And mind maps I find are great for defining all sorts of ideas and possibilities and so on. But when it comes time to the nitty-gritty, the next step is to create a storyboard. And the storyboard is where you figure out the sequence and what you want your pages to do and say and everything else. It's a process used by the animation industry, has been for a very long time. And that's where you figure out what's going to work on your site or not. The storyboard is where you can build the entire site literally on paper, and once you've done it, you've essentially built your site, and then all you have to do is implement it with the software.
Yeah. Does everyone here want to see the difference between like a Joomla website and a WordPress website?
I would love to see it. I would love to see that.
Okay. Let me screen share once again.
Well, why don't you screen share, and in the meantime, I'm going to put this up that here is the mind map that just a sec here, there, that Jay put up in the content tracker. So that's that mind map that he was using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's this. So you'll be able to, in the comment area in the today's Hangout, which is right here, once the comment tracker is off, you'll be able to see the link there. You just copy and paste the link and you'll be able to see it. Right there. So you just click on that. I also added, where that mind map was created. So it's called bubble.us. It's a free mind map application. It's really easy to use. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is a WordPress website. All right, so this WordPress site is called riskgeek.com, and it's an affiliate marketing website. So the premise of this site is the end result of this website is to get people to read the products and read the review of various products and make a decision whether they want to purchase it on Amazon or not. Okay, so for example, this one is a review of the Garmin Vivo Fit. And so, I do a review of the actual product, and then the end result is right here, which is a link that goes to Amazon where people can actually purchase it. Now, that link is called an affiliate link, so that if someone were to click on that and buy this, I would get a commission ranging from 8 to 20% depending on the product and the volume of sales. So that is, in essence, what I use a WordPress for, right? So this is more for a personal thing, and this is one of a business model that I have, where that's one of the ways that I make money as an affiliate, right? Now the next site, this is a Joomla website, okay? So this is a different type of, it's similar to WordPress, but there's no blogging component. It's just pages, okay? And Joomla is more for small businesses that don't need to blog, okay? So this is obviously Mary Maid's website, and their end result is to get them to call for a free estimate, right? And then on each individual page, we have this call to action: call for a free estimate. That's what our clients wanted, to happen. This is the end result. Okay. On the bottom, we've got their locations and all that kind of stuff. So you'll notice that there's no blog. It's just pages that say, go this, do that, right? And and it's really as simple as that. And then they've got their ratings and stuff like that. So now my clients are able to log into this website themselves and edit the pages that they want. So for example, there's a little icon here at the bottom. You all see that? So they're able to click on that, which will take them to a login page. They log in. So now I'm logged in as my client. So I can navigate. So let's say I want to make a change on spring cleaning. So now, as you can see right here, there's a little thing that says edit this article.
Oh.
So I can click on that, and if I hover over it, I can see when it was originally published and who published it. So if I click on it, it'll take me to the editable interface. As you can see, I'm not leaving the back end of the site. I'm not leaving the front end. I'm staying in the front end of the site. Mm-hmm. And then I can make changes. So if I just want to make that bold, right? I press save.
And there it is.
And there it is right there. There's the change that I just made. So that's why I get clients. That's why I use Joomla for my clients. Now, if I wanted to go in here in this site, I need to go to wp-admin, or I could set it up so that I can log into the front end of the site, right? And then I have to use my username and password, which I think I haven't saved it. Yeah, so I got to go to WA here. Hold on one second. moment.
I just have a quick question, Jay. That first page you showed us with the wrist watch thing.
Yeah, risky. Yeah.
Yeah, is that basically a landing page because it's very simple?
Yeah, it's actually that's an education website, meaning I teach people how to use it, and it's been yeah, but basically it's a real simple landing page. All right, so. All right, so what I would have to do is I would have to go and log in. So, and now this is the back end of the website.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that if I wanted to actually go to edit this site or edit that particular article, I have to go to posts.
Pages.
Nope, that was a post.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, that was a post.
Yeah, yeah. Therein leads the premise confusion. It's like what's a page, what's a post, when to use which, and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So then I click edit. All right, so there's the content. So then I have to place, I can bold that, press save, update. Okay, now I can go and view the post again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now there's my change right there. Okay? So as you can see, there's two different ways to create and edit websites, So those are the two ways. So, it really does depend on your comfort level of editing content and making changes, So if you're comfortable in the WordPress environment, then use WordPress. Like, this is the WordPress environment. If
But
you're comfortable,
WordPress is more suited to someone that has a blog.
well, I mean, you can create a website in WordPress and not use the blogging element.
Right.
Okay, but but you still have to access this kind of back-end dashboard, and with a little training, it really is simple enough to use.
So with Joomla, can you add a blog? Is there like an add-on extension or anything?
Well, I mean, you can set it up so that there is a blogging element. Now, in the back end of Joomla, which I'm happy to show you, which in most cases, clients will never see.
I see Jay's using LastPass.
Yep, absolutely.
LastPass.
LastPass is a program that lists all of your passwords and encrypts them.
Oh,
but
yeah.
then you either on your desktop or all of your mobiles.
Yeah.
They'll preload.
Yeah.
Once you get it set up, and it's considered one of the safest ways to manage your passwords.
Yeah, and it's they have what's called a two-factor authentication as well. If you set that feature on, where in the morning you're ready to start your day, so you log into LastPass and you do your primary password, and then it sends you a text, and then it says, okay, we'll enter the numbers of the text. So it's so that way it's hacked. So if it gets hacked, there's that gate where, unless you get your phone stolen at the same time by the same hacker that tried to hack in, right? So it's a wonderful program. All right, so this is the back end of Joomla. So there's, your article manager. So if I click on article manager, it shows all of the articles here, right? So they call them, the content in Joomla is called articles. Content in WordPress is called posts and pages. Okay? Whereas with Joomla, it's one, right? It's just content. Yeah. So there is a way you can create a blog, right? And that's actually through what's called categories. So you can create a new category, call it blog, and then any blog-based content that you want you can put it under that particular category. Okay. What I actually do for clients, if a client wants to start blogging, I say, yeah, absolutely, all right, no problem. And they're on Joomla. We won't go to WordPress. We'll stay on Joomla, but I'll just ask them we'll call them articles, So, and then just create a category. Instead of calling it blog, we'd call the category articles. One of the reasons why I recommend that for clients is because then there's no date stamp. And what I mean by that is that way an article is going to last a lot longer in the search engines than a blog post. Because a blog post, if I Google, you know, like learn how to use Google Analytics, learn how to use Google Analytics. So here's, sorry, let me just finish my point here. So here's a video tutorial on how to do Google Analytics, but if I look at the date, it says June 26th, okay? Now, bad example because that's a YouTube video, but that, if this was a blog post, that date would show up as well. Whereas if it was a Joomla article, the date probably wouldn't be shown, okay? Sorry, go ahead with your question there.
No, it wasn't a question, it was actually a statement, because if it's June 26th or February 25th, what it says to who's ever reading is that you don't post that often.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that it's
That's right.
like, and it could be antiquated content, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why you know, I prefer Joomla for my clients, you know. So I can show you, you know, another website, one more site here that's Joomla Run. So this is my this is one of my main affiliate marketing websites. So affiliateresources.org, right? And so all of these are pages. Now, if you look on the right-hand side there, I've got a thing that says articles. So this is similar to blogging, right? But again, like I said, I call them articles. And yeah, so if I Google that, so there I am right there, right? So I can click on it, and it shows. Now I've set this up so that I actually show the date and my author.
I was going to say there. Yeah. I saw a date there.
Yeah. So I purposely added that, right? So, but you can, by default with Joomla, it doesn't show that.
And there are going to be times when you want the date there, and there are going to be other times when you don't.
Yes.
Again, it's knowing what it is you're doing and why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Right on.
Thanks, Jay.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that. I had one client who was messing around with Joomla, and she couldn't figure out what to do with it. She found it very, very, very confusing. But as you're showing it there, that looks pretty simple for, especially I would say for as you say, somebody who doesn't really want to blog, but also somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of technical abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the end result is great.
Yeah, it looks like it's simpler to use in a very minimal sort of way.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very simple to use on the front end. The caveat to that is that it can be technically challenging to set it up initially. You know, if you get distracted by other things, you know, if you just follow the prompts to get it installed, then it's pretty much good to go. Also, many hosting companies have the ability to auto-install Joomla or auto-install WordPress. So keep that in mind as well. That's
really important.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you decide you're going to do the WordPress.org, you run into all kinds of problems. So if you're going to do one of these platforms, do it through your web hosting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really, really helpful. I was just going to make sure that everybody, we share these things before we close the broadcast. I just want to show you the other, there's that mind map. piece. I think I showed that before. And there's a technical question in here from Nathan that I think we'll wait until we finish our broadcast, because it's more of a personal question.
Okay.
So so that was really, really helpful. I hope that we didn't overwhelm our newbies, but it's so important to recognize that you make the decisions before you dive in and do anything. So it's really important to sit down and think things through. And I would also say get some recommendations. Like if you're at the point where you're trying to decide what server to service to use, get some recommendations. You know, there are a few around that are known, but know what you need to ask. You know, what's the speed like? What's the support like? What's their dashboard like? And what's the price? You know, those are the pretty basic questions that you would need to be asking.
Yeah.
But don't go there until you decide what you want it to do.
Yeah, that mind map that I did, it shows you the basic pricing structure, domains, hosting, and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Lolan, can
Yes.
you send forward me the information on your helper Ryan?
Oh yes, but my helper Ryan is now not doing web design.
Okay.
He is now making his living as a theme developer.
Okay, that's fine.
Good for him.
Yeah, doing extremely well at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
That's actually cool to know, because it shows you that he's shifted with the trend. You know,
Mm-hmm.
whereas as opposed to, as you say, 10 years ago when we first kind of got together with them, it was about building websites. Like here, I'll build this, I'll build a theme, and all this kind of stuff, right? Whereas now we have people that they use Joomla, they use WordPress, and then so now building themes and having a recurring payment module, is ideal for that. So that's good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That he's doing that.
Yeah. So an opportunity to ask one last question before we close this being your own CEO hangout.
I've got a question.
Yes.
What is the biggest hurdle people are facing when it comes to building their website?
Getting started.
Okay.
Well, knowing how many pages and what each page should look like. Should they all look the same with different content? Should they all be different?
Mm-hmm.
Basically that.
I could answer
more,
that.
right?
Yeah, I can help you with that, Anna. We could do that after the live broadcast. But yeah, I mean, basically, it kind of really does boil down to that end result. Like, what do you want people to do, right? And
yeah.
but
True.
I can answer it more in detail in a bit here.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's a good question. What is the most difficult thing when you're getting started?
Yeah. I think it's information overload, personally. I think because there's so many people will give so many different recommendations. So if you ask one person, they say, oh, you got to do WordPress, you have to go buy your domain name here, and you have to get hosting here. And then the person beside them says, no, you got to go get your domain name here, and you got to get your hosting here, because I've had a horrible experience with them and stuff. So when you get all of this stuff coming at you, you're like, oh, I don't know where to start, right? So one thing that I've learned when it comes to teaching people all of this stuff is I just show them what I use, as opposed to telling them what to use. And then they can make their decision from that,
Yeah, that's a good way to go.
I have one piece of advice that I think would be a good one to leave us all with is keep it simple.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think it's time for us to wrap up today's conversation now.
Thanks
Sorry?
all. Thank you all.
Yeah, I just want to remind the members, everyone who's watching, to please join our Being Your Own CEO community. You'll find lots of resources and great conversations there. And be sure to contribute. If you are a member, contribute anything that you wish that shows what you're doing. That's what it's there for. And of course, if YouTube is your pleasure, please subscribe to my channel. So this is Laurel Ann, signing off, being your own CEO for this week.